The Bloodied condition was easily my favorite part, my favorite feature of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and I was really disappointed that it wasn't making a return back to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, because telling my players that the monster they are fighting dropped to below half of its hit points and is now completely bloodied, completely bruised, and it triggers a bunch of new abilities, completely changing the fight they were having in the first half, is one of my favorite things to do in 4th edition. And now Anne Gregersen actually reintroduces the Bloodied condition into 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons with the Bloodied and Brused Monster Manual. Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters, my name is Mr. Tarrasque and this is still your go-to YouTube channel for everything Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition related. Well, I say 5th edition, but this is actually a feature coming from 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons, now moving into 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, thanks to none less than Anne Gregersen, who has built the Bloodied and Brused Monster Manual with a really cool cover art of a wizard type person on the cover. With like, the art style is absolutely brilliant. The moment I saw this, it was like, wow, that's brilliant, that's really cool. And the Bloodied and Brused Monster Manual, by the way, is a monster manual that takes the Bloodied condition from 4th edition into 5th edition. And if you do not know what the Bloodied condition is, or was, I should say, basically when a creature, your players are fighting a creature, when that creature goes below half of its hit points, rounded down, it gets a bunch of new abilities, completely changing the way the fight goes on from there. Sometimes it has abilities that helps it flee, sometimes it has abilities that actually help it fight or regenerate hit points or whatever. And what Anne Gregersen actually did was, by the way, she also created Valia. I did a Kickstarter video on that one, and I'm really excited to check that out once that hits my doorstep. And she has created a monster book that has all the monsters. As far as I know, these are all the monsters from the original 5th edition monster manual. So the 5th edition monster book has a bunch of monsters we all know and love, and we used all of them almost, probably. And she created a Bloodied ability, Bloodied and Brused ability for all of them, and I absolutely like it. So she goes into, there is a bunch, I can, by the way, click all of these, which is really handy for a PDF. She goes into what the Bloodied condition is, and she talks about 2 different distinct things. There is the while bloodied, then a creature just gets a bunch of new abilities, and it lasts as long as the creature is bloodied. So if it's healed up, the abilities go away. But if it goes bloodied again, below half its hit points, the abilities come back. But there's also a feature called when first bloodied. And this means that when a creature is first bloodied, it gets a new feature. But if it is then healed up and becomes bloodied again, the feature doesn't stand. And these sometimes are like more powerful features you just want to use once in a combat. And the Bloodied ability for the players as well as for the Dungeon Master keeps things exciting. I mean, we all have been through that moment where I have, for example, a party of level 16 adventurers who beat the crap out of really high chance rated monsters, but these fights, as exciting as they start out, they sometimes just become a math competition, right? You roll a die, I roll a die, he rolls a die, I roll a die, she rolls a die, I roll a die. And it just becomes like, the moment people are used to the abilities and know what the dragon or the Aten or whatever, the Displacer beast is going to do, they know how to fight it. But if it gets bloodied, if it gets below half of a hit, if half of its hit points, it actually gets new abilities, and this keeps players on the edges of their seats because they have to come up with new tactics in order to defeat it. And that's basically in the entire premise, the entire setup of the monster manual Bloodied and Brused. Now, she also there's also new death throws built into this, which I really like. A bunch of creatures in the monster manual already have this. Like, if they drop to 0 hit points, something happens. Maybe they explode or whatever. Something happens when they drop to 0 hit points. And with this, she just adds a bunch of those death throws to creatures who otherwise don't have them. I really like that she did that. By the way, the art style of this thing is like super consistent. Again, a bunch of lines that look like like, it looks like just a bunch of lines on paper, but I couldn't do this, and it looks amazing, and it's really my kind of artwork. I absolutely love it. So here are the creature entries. She doesn't have artwork. There isn't artwork for all the creatures, because we already have artwork for those creatures in the monster manual, but she does use some artwork here and there, which is really cool to like fill it up. And you don't get a new stat block for each creature. That's not the thing. This functions as an add-on to the monster manual, the 5th edition monster manual. This functions as an add-on to this thing, right? So my guess is, if I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. So I'm actually thinking about printing this out. It's 88 pages, printing it out, and actually just taking it with my monster manual, because I like holding physical paper, and I do not know why. It's just a thing that I love. So she has a bunch of cool artwork, and let's just look into this, right? There's the Displacer Beast. There's the Displacer Beast, one of my favorite creatures to put against my players. When it is bloodied at 42 hit points, which is half of its hit points, the Displacer Beast has the following features. It has a disengage feature. While bloodied, the Displacer Beast can take the disengage action as a bonus action. While bloodied, the Displacer Beast cannot be knocked prone. When first bloodied, the Displacer Beast can make a melee attack against a creature within range as a reaction. So, although this is just a little piece of text for one creature, it completely changes what the combat could become, right? Suddenly, the Displacer Beast has a disengage action as a bonus action. So let's say you're fighting 2 displacement beasts. Good luck with that. You're fighting 2 Displacer beasts, and one of them becomes bloodied. They use the disengage action to just get around, right, and attack you from somewhere else. Suddenly their tactics become different, because one of them gets bloodied, the other one steps in to take over, to take some of the damage, and the other one goes the smart route, right, and starts sneaking up on the wizard or the cleric or one of the spellcasters. It cannot be knocked prone, so I often play fighters that try to knock people prone, like battle masters. Which doesn't work. Once it's bloody. Once it's bloody, it's like standing my ground, and it like becomes really strong and pissed off, and it won't be knocked prone. It goes into like this frenzy type thing, in my mind at least. And when first bloodied, it can make an opportunity, kind of like some sort of opportunity attack. It kind of just gets to make one extra attack, which it wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't bloodied. It's just like you hit it. It becomes bloody. You what? 20 hit points, and you're like, I'm damaging it, and then your dungeon master's like, yeah, and then I hit you, and you're like, no, you can't, because it's not your turn, and you're like, okay, but you just hit it for enough damage that it becomes bloodied, and now I'm going to hit living crap out of you, and that's. Players will be like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Things are changing the more we are damaging this creature, and that is something that really keeps the players on the edges of their seat, and I absolutely loved with, by the way, 4th edition Dungeon Master's Guide right here. I love this Dungeon Master's Guide. This is one of the best Dungeon Master's guides out of all of the editions. This is the best Dungeon Master's Guide. This actually explains how to play the game. From a Dungeon Master's perspective. Then there is a bunch of creatures, and I'm like serious, all the creatures in the Monsters book, in the Monster Manual from 5th edition are here. So let's go back to the thing here, because there is one creature I just need to click. And you're probably already guessing which one that is. It is the Tarrasque, right? Because the name, channel. By the way, next to my name, Mr. Tarrasque, is like a subscribe button. Make sure to click that subscribe button. I really think this one is really interesting. And before we go any further, I want to quickly say that this video has been made possible with the help of Shard Tabletop, the sponsors to my channel. Shard Tabletop is still the easiest to learn, best virtual tabletop, to my opinion. I have a quick start guide for players, a quick start guide for Dungeon Masters on my channel. Make sure to check those out and follow the link in the description below for 20% discount on your subscription to Shard Tabletop, which is you will be playing Shard Tabletop in a matter of minutes after making an account. You can also try for free as long as you want, run games, play in games, and if you want more features, you can take a subscription with 20% discount, link in the description below. While bloodied at 338 hit points, the Tarrasque has the following features. First of all, chipped shell. while bloodied, the Tarrasque's natural armor becomes damaged, lowering its armor class by 2. She's actually lowering the armor class because you already damaged it. You're hitting its shell, you're casting spells at it, and its shell is just flying everywhere, right? So its armor class, it's only logical that its armor class is just going down, right? I love it. There's also an ability, it can't be killed, which basically means that any ability that reduces it to 0 hit points that would instantly kill it, like Disintegrate, for example, doesn't work anymore from the moment it's bloodied. Also, when it loses limbs, they grow back within like an X amount, like 1d6 minutes or something. Yeah, 1d6 minutes. And then there is a ability called Regeneration, which the Tarrasque desperately needed. It will regenerate 30 hit points each turn, and its speed is increased by from 40 to 60 feet. So to me personally, Anne, like, fixed the Tarrasque single-handedly with a bit of text. I don't know how many words these are, but it's just a really small bit of text, and she kind of fixed the Tarrasque, whatever you want to call it, to me. For me, the Tarrasque has always been that one creature that people are supposed to be scared shitless to fight. But I can say I have a level 16 party. Disclaimer, they are power gamers, but I have a level 16 party. They could beat the living crap out of a 5th edition Tarrasque on page 286 of the monster book. This is a challenge rated 30 creature on paper, but it is not a challenge rated 30 creature. It is really weak compared to other editions. Now, that's if I pit it against my players and like my players fight the Tarrasque and there's nothing else going on. Of course, fighting a Tarrasque has to be like, to me at least, some kind of story-driven thing where it is trying to go to a town and kill like thousands and eat like thousands of people. So your players are like attacking it and damaging it, and it's just ignoring the players and just keeps walking or whatever. That's how you should play a Tarrasque, something like that. There should be more going on, and it will be able to kill thousands of people if the players do not succeed. But still, it is just not that strong. It only has 676 hit points. I mean, if it acts last and your players are like level 20, they could probably just kill it if they do the right thing. That said, these abilities that Anne Gregersen actually gives the Tarrasque really help. There's regeneration, which it always had in previous editions. It is way faster, which it was in previous editions. It has like this "it can't be killed" ability, which is like some sort, basically what it had in other editions, and it is just, it works for me. There's only one thing, and there's one thing I want to say, which I would have added to it personally, and that is a ranged attack. Right now, in the standard version of the Tarrasque, it doesn't have a ranged attack. It has Swallow, a Fry for Presence, Horns, Tail, Claw, Bite, and it has a lot of reach, 20 feet for its tail and everything, but it doesn't have a ranged attack. But I could see a Tarrasque becoming bloodied and then being so pissed off that it just takes a freaking church and it throws a freaking church at your face because it's so pissed off. That's something I would have added. I just want to really quickly pitch a product. I've talked about this really early on my channel when I was really small channel and it was really awkward and old review. The Book of the Tarrasque by Encoded Designs. Really good book. It is completely lore about the Tarrasque and new abilities for the Tarrasque. It has ranged attacks, but also like the Swallow ability becomes more because there can be different parts of the Tarrasque you end up in because it has more than one stomach, all that jazz. If you are really into the Tarrasque, the Book of the Tarrasque is like the book you need if you want to plan that one epic encounter with the Tarrasque. Other than that, awesome. I think it's awesome. Let's look at another thing, another monster, and something I really want to look at is the ancient gold dragon right here. The ancient gold dragon suddenly has a ranged attack. So I think she really put some thought into this, and just to give you an idea, I don't know why this happened. Just to give you an idea, the book will set you back $4.95, which is $5 basically. The book will set you back $5 freaking. And there's so much work and thought that went into this. It's more than worth it. There's so much bang for your buck. And if you spend at least $5 on the guild, make sure to use my promo code, description below, so you get 5% discount. Like 5% of $5 isn't much, but make sure to like spend 10,000 euros or dollars on the Dungeon Masters Guild, so you get a bunch of discount when using my promo code. Anyway, when the Ancient Gold Dragon at 273 hit points is bloodied, its breath weapon automatically recharges. So it uses its breath weapon at the right time. And then your players hit it for it to become bloodied. You do not have to roll a d6 that turn for the breath weapon to come back. It actually naturally comes back because it's so freaking pissed, right? Legendary actions. Also, when first bloodied, is really important. First bloodied, it regains all of the expanded uses of legendary actions. So combined with the breath weapon recharging and the legendary actions being available again in the midst of combat, in the midst of the turn order, could mean real business for the players. It changes up things. Suddenly the dragon just is attacking in one round. Maybe it's already spent 2 legendary actions. It can do 2 more before it takes its turn and does a freaking breath weapon that just recharged. I mean, that's dangerous, and that's how you should play a dragon. Dragons should be dangerous. There's a new ability called Fling, and this is just when it successfully hits a large or smaller creature with a bite attack, it can basically take it between its teeth and hurl it away, and then making it smack into a solid surface like a piece of rock, or again, a church. Maybe somebody smacks into a church. I don't know what I have with churches today. And it takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage, and is for every 10 feet it is thrown, by the way. If the target succeeds dexterity check, DC 20, or take the same damage and be knocked prone. So it can do its breath weapon, take legendary actions, then bite attack and fling somebody away. So really crazy. And it gets a heavy step, which means if it stays on the ground, it actually gets like this sort of trample ability that makes people roll a saving throw, otherwise take a bunch of damage, be knocked prone, and be grappled by the dragon. That's basically the summarization of it. Then there is a really cool one, the Vanquisher of Evil. So Anne actually did really well in like using the lore and everything of these creatures into these new abilities, like the Vanquisher of Evil. It actually becomes way, way, way stronger against evil aligned creatures. So if one of your players in the party is like neutral evil or something like that, they're fucked. Because this dragon is pretty smart, and it will target that player, and it will deal extra damage to that player. I like that. I really, really, really like that. And then there is a triggered ability. When first bloodied, the dragon can take a reaction to make a claw attack, which is the basic thing. The same thing with the Displacer beast, where you can just make one a quote-unquote opportunity attack, which is technically not an opportunity attack, but it's an opportunity to make an attack. So it's an opportunity attack, if you know what I mean. So that is basically the Bloodied and Brused Monster Manual. I could go on and on and on for days, but for $4.95, you should just pick it up and look at it for yourself. You'll get a very cool PDF. The only thing I wished for was that it wasn't print, so I might be printing it out for myself, adding it to my monster book, because although I have a bunch, like a crap load of third-party monster books, like I have a lot of monster books, like a pile this high of monster books third-party, I still use the monster manual, the 5th edition monster manual, just the basic thing, vanilla D&D. I use it a lot still. So I really like that there's now a Bloodied abilities, and I hope it sells, because if it sells well, maybe Anne is going to create another one for more creatures, that are in some of the expansions of the monster books, 5th edition monster books, like the Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordecai and Tone of Foes. So Anne, By the way, I'm saying Anne. It's maybe people are name because in Belgium, if somebody has this name, you say Anne. So I'm saying Anne Gregersen. Really, congratulations with this product. I cannot wait to check out some of your other stuff, and I hope my viewers will go to the link in the description below, click it, put it in their basket, and the next time they check out, they take it, they read it, and are amazed by your work. Until next video, bye bye.